Hello and welcome to the news button. In today's news analysis, in response to a request, we shall discuss about the consequences of a Russian victory in the ongoing Russo-Ukrainian war. Friends, if President Putin wins the war, it will have far-reaching geopolitical ramifications. The fate of the war will set the next course of history in the first half of the 21st century. So what if Putin wins? Let's look at it one by one. First, new Putinism will be in vogue across the globe. Putinism can be referred to as aggressive nationalism as practiced by President Putin, the political ideology that President Putin represents. If Putin wins, he will be a cult figure, idolized and admired at home and abroad as a successor of Russian strongmen like Joseph Stalin. He will have a political sect of his own with leaders like Hungary's newly re-elected PM Viktor Orban or Belarus's President Alexander Lukashenko among his ardent followers. So expect the comeback of a robust power bloc led by Russia, like the Warsaw Pact countries. A win will raise Putin's as well as Russia's stature and prestige, but after significantly weakening the invincibility of its superpower tag. A Russian win will also help tighten Putin's grip on power at home and completely demoralize and decimate his political opponents. If Putin wins the war with Ukraine, if you think it will end the conflict and may lead to peace in Europe, then you are living in a fool's paradise. A win may further raise the prospects of war with other nations, particularly bordering countries. Never forget, Russia has warned to deploy nuclear weapons in and around Baltic Sea regions if Finland and Sweden join NATO. If the talk of a Finnish move to join NATO made Russia so nervous, then in case Finland, Sweden and other such nations join NATO post-war to avail NATO's protective umbrella to secure themselves, it will create a dangerous situation as it will irritate Russia and compel Russian forces to cross the borders. Other than these, the bruises and bumps that Russia has been receiving at the hands of a less powerful Ukraine has a telling effect on the powerful Russian military. Be not confused, be not bewildered. It's not the Ukrainian capacity which is battering the Russians and had been able to hold the Russian attack. It's the collective European war machine plus US, which has kept the Ukrainian resistance alive so long. Of course, this is not to understate the bravery and bravado of the Ukrainian military and their supportive foreign fighters. Estonia, a former USSR republic and a bordering state, has been Ukraine's largest arms supplier. Everyone has seen what sort of annihilation of Russia's forces has been caused by UK-supplied anti-tank Javelin missiles, Germany-supplied Stinger anti-craft defense systems, and not to talk about the Raytheon and Lockheed Martin-produced Stingers and Javelin missiles from the US. Even if the big powers would be spared an immediate onslaught, minnows like Estonia would have to pay for the harm caused to Russian military for their unstinted support to Ukraine during the war. Expect the broadening of the Russian theater of war into the bordering states to punish them for their mistakes and to wipe out US or NATO-inclined governments. Not just that, this will not satiate Putin. This will end in complete annexation of these erstwhile Soviet republics into Russia. Europe, even if it wants to, cannot stop Putin in annexing them. Thus, it will pave the way for emergence of a second incarnation of Russia like the ex-USSR, large, robust, and overbearing. It will motivate Putin to go for military solutions to long-term problems after the NATO failure and the US incapacity to protect Ukraine. This will give birth to another trigger-happy leader in Europe after Hitler and Mussolini. As a direct byproduct of the war, if there is partial victory, then the entire Russian-speaking Donbas region, which includes Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts, will be annexed like the Crimean annexation of 2014, or created as separate countries within Russian influence. Let it be noted that Russia has already recognized these two breakaway Ukrainian regions. But what about a complete victory? Well, in case of a complete and final victory, entire Ukraine will be annexed. Don't be fooled by thinking Putin has invaded it only to stop NATO expansion, or as he says, to stop Nazification of Ukraine. Ukraine is a prosperous country with significant share in food production, thriving cities, and home to lots of former Soviet-era industries and defense factories. Considering this, it will be a strategic prize catch for Russia. Other than this, the Gorbachev triggered and Western orchestrated dismemberment and disintegration of the USSR has not gone down well in the hearts and minds of Russian ultra-nationalists, who had enjoyed and fancied themselves as compatriots and comrades in arms of a great superpower called USSR, the nemesis of Nazi Germany and Adolf Hitler. They would hail Putin as the leader and see reflections of wartime strongman Joseph Stalin in him for the complete annexation of Ukraine into the Russian Federation. In case of a complete victory, President Zelensky would either be killed or captured, tried and thrown into the prison, or simply sacked and exiled, and a pro-Russian puppet leader put in his place. This will put an end to the saga of a much-spirited and inspired resistance in the modern war history. The anecdote of a super-communicative, T-shirt-clad president who had rallied his people and limited resources against a colossal adversary. Similarly, a Russian victory will ensure Black Sea coastal areas permanently taken over by President Putin. Similarly, a Russian victory will ensure Black Sea coastal areas permanently taken over by Russian Navy, making Ukraine landlocked, making it permanently dependent on Russia for defense and trade. Most significantly, a Russian victory in essence would put a spoke in the NATO juggernaut towards Russia's border and discourage fence-sitters like Sweden, Finland, etc. to discard the idea of joining NATO. The writing on the wall would be if NATO failed to protect Ukraine despite solid assurances of active support, the US-led defense bloc can do little as a net guarantor of security in this part of the globe or elsewhere. In short, it will strengthen Russia and weaken NATO. As a direct result of the droppings to its clout and prestige in Europe, the US will invest more in defense and multilateral relations to regain lost influence. For sure, it will try boost up NATO in Europe. which will take away its current focus on another assertive hegemon, China. So, a renewed focus on the European front is most likely to lessen US military pressure on China. This will let loose the dragon in Asia and Asia Pacific. This should start a cardboard effect of an aggression of a superior power against lesser powers in the absence of intervention by the world body or the US, the sole superpower. So, bad days ahead for Taiwan, Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, etc., with whom the dragon has a dispute in the South China Sea. China would be emboldened to take democratic Taiwan by force, whom it considers a renegade province. This will end the fledgling roots of liberal democracy and free economy there. Ditto for India. After 2 years of lull, the temperature in the Himalayas will rise further. The heights will see deliberate Chinese incursions, leading to a full-scale war with India. India may not like it, but its friends' win may become the cause of its undoing in Ladakh or Arunachal. Let it be mentioned, the Chinese are yet to vacate Indian lands after the 2020 incursions. Even after rounds and rounds of commander-level talks and repeated requests from the Indian government spanning over 2 years. The war will go down in memory lane as an episode when a leader reintroduced war into the European continent. Also, it will give birth to a new thinking in international politics. That a bigger power attacking a smaller power with brute force and firing till ammunition ends will eventually bring it to its knees. And until and unless their interests directly clashes with yours, as a big power, you should keep mum and refrain from active intervention or at best supply weapons to the embattled state. A Russian victory would quicken the reversal of superpower status of the US and re-establish Russia as the new master of Europe. It will encourage China to challenge the US in areas like the South China Sea with serious pushbacks. Bad days ahead for the Taiwanese and the Japanese. If the US steps back or even partially withdraws from the Asia Pacific on the face of stiff resistance from the Chinese, it will herald the advent of an uncertain and lawless era in Asia. Hope you liked the conversation. If you like the conversation, then please like and subscribe to our channel. And do not forget to leave your comments in the comment section so that we shall come back to you with newer videos of your choice. Thank you. Thanks for your time.